It's the most wonderful time of the year. Fight me.
You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning, you wonder how I got this way.
So, I have a really good one for you, my lovelies, and it's called the Samhain character tag. Consider this my third installment since I have done this 2 other times before. I will leave the link to those in the description. So before I start, let me give you a few little tidbits about Samhain. Samhain is the last part of the Harvest Festival trifecta. It follows Lammas and Mabon, and it falls between like the end of October and the beginning of November in the Northern Hemisphere. So it does depend on where you are and what year you're in at the time, too. One of the most important aspects of Samhain is that it's the time of year that we recognize that death is a part of life. It's also the time of year when the veil between the worlds is at its thinnest. I give a lot more information about it on Samhain Tag Part 1. So if you want to learn a little bit more, just go there and look at that real quick. But come back. Okay. So in order to really participate in this tag, you want to give a mini description of your tale. I'm going to read mine because I always forget to actually put the description in, and then when I do, I put it in sideways. So somewhere on the screen you should also see it, but okay. Crown Prince Lore is aware of his fate. Not ready to face it, he decides to explore the foreign realms he's never seen. Quiet and shy, Eden's a smart girl who guys liked but never seduced. She hides behind her work, afraid to give herself to anyone. Lore meets Eden just as she makes the bold choice to give into her carnal side. But Lore can't stay with Eden. Faced with the collapse of his realm and a life on the run, Lore must choose between his love for Eden and his duty to his entire world. Now here's what you have to do. Give a brief description of your whip, answer the 13 questions using characters from your whip, and try not to use the same character for the same answer twice. Pretty straightforward, right? One quickie disclaimer. The pics that I found to represent my characters in this were the closest that I could find, to do that. They are not perfect, but they are close. I just want you to keep in mind that some of them are not human, but they can shapeshift into whatever they want to be. So there's going to be double representation for some of them, just so you know. Okay, let's go. Number 1, ghosts. If one of your characters could talk to the dead, who would it be and who would they talk to? Gonna give that one to Piper. Piper has always felt like she was born in the wrong place and time. Like she was born with gifts that were either suited for the past or better off in the future. But in the present, she feels off. She would love to commune with those who have passed on, to tap them for their wisdom. Plus, just being Piper, she would love to shoot the breeze. So yeah. Number 2, other world. What other worlds are in your setting? Whether they be other planes of existence, afterlives, or other types of realities. So many. Part of the premise of Uncharted Desire, that in the Shinza realm, there are these things loosely translated into portal keys. These keys, which are many orbs, have the power to open the doors to many, many realms. Now, it's highly illegal to do so. All of the keys have been destroyed except for 2 in known existence. Those 2 are left in the responsibility of the 2 high queens. This story begins with the crown prince of Ra stealing a portal key and going off-world in search of fun and adventure before he has to take on the duty of becoming High King. Oh yeah, he did some, yeah. We'll get back to him later. Number 3, mummies. How do people in your world intern their dead? Well, in as many ways as there are to intern the dead. It would be easier just to pick a couple of the characters and say how they do it. Because there would be no way. I mean, there's so many cultures, so many realms. We would be here all day. So let's go with Eden and Piper. They're the humans, and they're in Baltimore. The burials that they have experienced have been just the traditional Southern, funeral gig. Church gathering around the dead body, while a man or a woman of the cloth comes out and says some comforting words that they made up. Then the whole slow-moving funeral ride to the graveyard where said dead person is buried in the ground. Morbid shit. Next, we have the Saishirians, which is Queen Zane and Princess Maati. The dead are cremated and then they live with the family for a year. After a year's time, the ashes are spread all over the family's backlands with all the other people who have passed before them. Royals, on the other hand, their ashes are kept in the royal crypt and are put on display forever and ever and ever for all to see. Amen. The thought about that is so that no one ever forgets. Also morbid. Or is it just me? Now the Rallians, which is Queen Desial, King Ma'al, and Prince Lore. They bury their dead before a new day has shown its face. They plant a fruit tree of their choosing over the deceased, so that even in death, their bodies still do some good by nourishing the tree, which will ultimately nourish the people that are still living. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Number 4, divination. Give your characters a reading. What truth do they find? I decided to just do the main 4 for this part, and how I did their reading was through the pick a pile method. I will have a separate video that actually shows you the whole thing, which will also be interactive because you can then also pick a pile and get a reading. They are way too long for me to just put all of it into this video. So I'm just going to do the one card that represented each one. And for that, I'm going to use my medicine cards. A link to that deck will be in this description. So if you want to pick yourself up this deck, which is amazing, you have the link. Okay, so let's start with Eden. Eden got the butterfly. The butterfly expresses the need for freedom from self-imposed constraints, which is hello, goodbye, so perfect for Eden, it's scary. Eden is that super talented chick who hides herself under a bushel because she has already decided that what pleases her and what sparks her creativity won't be accepted because it's coming from her. That's really all I can say on that part. Eden's takeaway for this particular card representing her is basically for her to emerge into a new state of being and then honor her transformation. Next up, we have Lore. Next up is Lore. He got the owl. Now, getting the owl is really cool, but he got it in contrary, which automatically means he's been ignoring signs that have been right in front of him. In fact, owl medicine is the definition of being able to see what other people cannot. So he's not using his gift. And because of this disrespect, he has put himself in a very unsafe situation. I literally just got chills. Lore is being greatly deceived. Either he himself is the deceiver or someone very close to him is the deceiver, but he's just not paying attention. Because your boy is all about, let's just say, all about Eden. Lore's takeaway is simple. Honor your intuition, use discernment, outsmart deception, trust your first impressions. I don't make the rules, I only work here. Okay, so that brings us to Piper. Piper got the bat. so much going on here. So much. I mentioned before that Piper feels a little out of place, out of sync, out of something, just off. That said, she still has lots of irons in the fire because she just wants something that she loves to do to click and then make her life make sense. Not feeling like you belong, but trying to figure out a way to belong while respecting your passions has been ridiculously hard on her. Bat medicine states clearly, you will never make progress if you're holding on to things that are holding you back. Ain't gonna happen. It tells you you already have the power. You already have everything that you need. The thing is, since bat medicine has mystic powers attached to it, mystic energies, it totally makes sense that she feels out of place. Piper vibrates differently than everybody else that's in her life. The problem is she's feeling that, but she doesn't know what it is. Her takeaway with this card is to learn to be receptive so that she can be prepared for a rebirth of sorts. And last we have my girl Maati. Okay. Talk about getting the last news you want to hear. Maati is already rolling her eyes and trying to figure out a way around this. Otter medicine is the antidote to worry and anxiety, which in and of itself is amazing. Great news, right? But the otter requires that you chill the fuck out and have some fun. Yes, there are responsibilities and such, but if you're getting the otter, then you clearly have amped up duty, responsibility, work, all those other heavy things by like 100. And you forgot that in order to be a whole person, you got to allow all of you to reside in your spirit. I can't help but laugh at this. I would love to get this card in the spread. Maati, not so much. Her takeaway is hard for a person like her, but she is required to balance work with play and to reclaim vulnerability. Number 5, reverence. Which character considers respect to be a highly valued part of their personality? And how do they define it? That would be both High Queens. Both of these queens are the 3rd generation of their country's reign. In the dark time when men ruled, their entire realm was a hot-ass mess. Men with their passions for ridiculousness had brought their world to the brink of destruction. The women had had enough. They did a whole bunch of stuff too deep to get into right here, but the end results were that they, the women, took charge. And though it took a while for everyone to fall in line, it did happen. And these 2 queens make sure it stays that way. Number 6, darkness. What is the culture and characterization of darkness in your setting? There are lots of settings for this, so I'm just going to do the main 2. So in TERRA, where Piper and Eden are, Earth. There are monsters around every corner, really. It's just basically the state of how things are right now. Orange people thinking they can run shit. Reds fighting with blues. A special kind of darkness best left to nightmares. In Ishenza, they most certainly have a darkness looming overhead. Far more scarier than any boogeyman could ever be. They are facing a world war. The collapse of their realm. So yeah, some shit is going down for real. So, yeah. Number 7, traditions. Which character is most held to the tradition of their ancestors? So many. So many. But for sake of the tag, let's go with my Ati. She has a strong and devoted honor and respect for her role as High Princess. Ma'ati doesn't feel burdened with her role as a royal the way Lore does. Instead, she feels honored that the gods saw fit to place her in that role. She is 4th generation of Sashir in the New Days. Number 8. What is a fairy tale monster in your setting and how do you ward it off? In this setting, the monster is the betrothal. I realize that that's an odd thing to be considered as a monster, but for the rules involved, who are expected to go through with this holdover tradition and follow without question, it really kind of is. And there are others, of course, who sees the whole thing as archaic and wrong, since the person has no right to choose who their forever mate will be. And no matter which side of the betrothal debate they are on, it's still scary to them. So yeah, monster. Number 9, hobby horse. Who feels like death is always following them? Aw, poor King Maul. He doesn't feel like death is following him as much as he feels like death is coming for his way of life. The men in the Yashenza society are expected to always honor divine feminine, as it should be everywhere. But that's a talk for another time. Even though it may look on the surface like men are not given a true voice, what they are given is a great life. And most men, like Ma'al, know it. However, because his son committed some high treason-esque offenses, he fears that life as he has always known it is about to get highly disrupted. And he is not wrong. Number 10, hazelnuts. Pick a random relationship in your setting. Is it healthy? Gotta go with Luca. I picked him because he was the easiest, to be honest. Luca is that one friend who is friends with everybody. He's like the hub friend. He has that gift to get along with folk no matter what they bring to the table. He has a quiet power that just gels with the room. Not sure how healthy that is for him, but my impression of him is he truly just rolls with whatever life throws his way. And he sincerely doesn't have a complaint above a 4. Love him. Number 11, community. Who has a it takes a village mentality? Couldn't wait to get to this point because now we are at my girl, Eden. Eden grew up with wealthy parents, but she was not spoiled by them. She learned early on that no one was better than her and that she wasn't better than anybody else. Her entire family and extended family always worked in unison, lending their gifts and strengths to the whole of the collective. Oh yeah, I went there, Borg reference. She fully understands what it means to be a part of something bigger than herself and how each individual matters in the grand scheme. Number 12, renovate. What is something one of your characters would like to redo/change in their lives? Our boy Lore. We would be here all day with the laundry list of things that he would wish to change, including things that he just in general wish were different. But if I had to say what his top thing would be, he would wish for the right to choose his own path. Born a royal, his choices were made for him before he was even born. Born a male royal, and even less was afforded to him. He is, or was, willing to do as he was told, as long as he was just given a brief time to explore what he wants. So yeah, that's the main thing he would want to change. He doesn't want to, ditch his duties. He just wanted to have some fun before he had to take on the crown. Number 13, witchery. Who is the prankster caster in your story? KAYDEN. He doesn't actually pull pranks, but his cluelessness is laugh out loud hilarious. He is the butt of his own jokes that he doesn't even realize he's telling. All I have to say about KAYDEN is it's a good thing he's cute, because he ain't got a whole lot going on upstairs. Pretty dumb. That's harsh. He's not actually dumb, but he missing some spaces. I'm just going to be real. He missing some spaces. Well, there you have it. My 2021 SALMON tag. All of these characters are from my Kindle Vella story, which is ongoing, and I'm really having so much fun with it. Tell me what you think about them. I really want to know. Comment below. And if you give this tag a try, please tag me in it so I can watch it. Before I slip away, I want to officially tag the following people: Danette, Derek, Barrett, Colin, Margaret, and Chandra. Have that. So, until next time, remember, you hold the power as long as you are driven. See what the girls are sporting? Team Spencer action. Yeah, boy. Do this tag, y'all. Do this tag. Have fun with it. Got you crying on your knees in pain. Some things never change.